Well, welcome to this edition of Katz's Corner. On my far left, Richmond's Chris Mooney, Pitt's Jamie Dixon, and the new head coach in the state of Virginia, Tony Bennett of Virginia. You've had a lot of different experience coaching at Air Force, now at Richmond. He said there's a lot of NBA players. That was a younger team, younger teams he was going against. I mean, how much at a school like Richmond do you need to go international to sort of mix in within your recruiting?
Well, I think it's very important. When you're at events like this, certainly there's a little bit of a pecking order from the ACC, the Big East, and the major conferences. And so to even that out, it's important to go overseas. We have a player from Canada, a player from Australia. To go over.
Although Canada's not overseas, it's across the border. But
thank you.
Just make sure we're correcting that.
But no, so I think it is important because then you might be there when the Pittsburghs and the Virginias aren't there, or they don't necessarily need to be all the time, and you might be able to get somebody who is a little bit more highly rated or has a little bit more potential than somebody who's here being seen by all the big teams.
Now, how often have you recruited overseas?
Well, at the Air Force Academy, we weren't allowed to. So.
Obviously.
So just a couple of times. We've gone over there. We've been in Europe a little bit trying to, maintain some connections there and have an Australian player, so we hope to go down there again soon.
See, look, you served me up on the segue. I was just going to go there with Australia. That was obviously a huge connection.
You catch anybody says you gave Mr. Geography over here.
Dan Giroux was hurt last season. He comes back for you guys, Chris, and there's a lot of chatter that Richmond is sort of the sleeper team. If it's not Dayton, not Xavier, Richmond could be that team in the A-10. How realistic is that?
Well, I think it is pretty realistic. We had a pretty good season last year where we won 20 games. We feel that we have a great backcourt. Kevin Anderson and David Gonzalez both averaged 16 points per game, both all-conference players. And Dan Giroux is an all-conference player as a sophomore. I think the only one in the A-10 that year. So he comes back. He's stronger. He's put on about 25 pounds since he played as a sophomore. He's a very good inside presence for us. We feel we have a lot of depth, and we think that we can compete, and we hope that we can once the season gets going.
Has it been harder when you came to Richmond from Air Force than maybe you thought?
Probably a little bit. I think that each time you make a change like that, we had left a really good Air Force team behind to go to Richmond, and you just encounter some things that are a little bit different or a little bit more difficult than you might expect. But that's part of it, and you make that jump and you make the leap of faith to go to a new program. And it has been a little bit difficult and challenging, but we feel that we've laid a good groundwork and a good foundation and that we can be good from here on out.
So now, Chris, these guys get a great playing experience until they change this rule that you guys can work with players in the summer, which may happen in 2010. Who fills the void?
Well, that's really something that's difficult because we have our players back and they go to summer school for a session in May, and we try to keep them around working our camps, and they're able to work with the strength coach, which is very important to all of us. So that's important, but they don't get a chance to work with the coaches, and you lose that. You lose a little bit of that relationship because you're not out there working with them, talking to them. And it's a great thing, and it's the most, it's a very big reason why they're at the school, and the relationships that we all have with our players are strong and are only enhanced by being out on the floor with them and coaching them and talking to them about different things on their game. And so I hope that rule does change, but it can be difficult because we'd like to keep our guys there and playing together and playing against local guys from the Richmond area. But we would rather be out there too, and even if it wasn't putting them through a full practice, just being out there, observing them, watching them, talking to them about their game.
One of the things I've been trying to do up here is do some scheduling. I had Dayton's Brian Gregory and Cincinnati's Mick Crone and got them to maybe agree on a game. You're trying to upgrade your schedule. You did a good job this year. Did you ever hear from Pitt or Virginia?
Our assistant says
what?
Our assistant says they call all the time, and I say no, we're not playing. So.
Well, no, I mean, you try everything in scheduling, everything that you can, and dates and whatnot. We've played Virginia in the past, which has been a great series for us, of course. And
but you did upgrade. Who'd you add?
We've added Florida, South Carolina, Wake Forest, Mississippi State. So we think that'll be very challenging.
3 SEC teams. See, he's working the power ratings, trying to get in.
See that, Jamie?
Trying to get in. Richmond's Chris Mooney. Look for them to be a sleeper in the A-10, potential title contender. Pitt's Jamie Dixon with a gold medal, not around his neck, but definitely one as we saw from Butler, Shelvin Mack, and Pitt. Well, they'll be in the thick of it in the Big East. And Tony Bennett moving from Washington State to Virginia, more than likely going to raise that program up over the next couple of seasons. Thanks, guys.